I was 17 years old when my father sat me down in his office and told me I wouldn't be going to Harvard after all. Not because we couldn't afford it. He owned 3 car dealerships and a commercial real estate portfolio. Not because my grades weren't good enough. I had graduated valedictorian with a perfect SAT score. But because my younger sister Emma had just been rejected from every college she applied to, and my mother couldn't bear to see her suffer the humiliation while I went to an Ivy League school. "Victoria, you need to understand something," my father said, leaning back in his leather chair like he was negotiating a business deal. "Emma is fragile. She's sensitive. If you go to Harvard while she goes nowhere, it will destroy her self-esteem. We can't do that to her." I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. Surely this was some kind of test, some lesson about gratitude or humility. But his face remained serious, expectant, like he was waiting for me to agree with him. "So what are you saying?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm saying you'll defer for a year. Emma will take a gap year, work on her applications, and you'll help her. Next year, you'll both apply maybe to schools that are closer in ranking, state schools perhaps. Places where you can both succeed without one of you overshadowing the other." The room started spinning. "You want me to give up Harvard so Emma doesn't feel bad about herself?" "I want you to be a good sister," my mother interjected from the doorway. I hadn't even heard her come in. "I want you to think about someone other than yourself for once. As if my entire childhood hadn't been about making sure Emma felt special, felt loved, felt like she mattered more than the air I breathed. "This is insane," I said, standing up. "I earned Harvard. I worked for it. Emma didn't even try. She spent senior year partying while I was studying until 3 in the morning. You can't ask me to give this up." My father's expression hardened. "I'm not asking, Victoria. I'm telling you. This is what's best for this family. What's best for Emma, you mean." "Don't be selfish," my mother snapped. "Your sister needs us right now. She needs support, not a reminder of her failures every time she looks at you." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My success was Emma's failure. My dreams were her nightmares. My future had to be sacrificed so she could feel better about having no future at all. "I'm going to Harvard," I said firmly. "You can't stop me." My father stood up slowly, and something in his eyes made my blood run cold. "Actually, I can. I'm the one paying for it, remember? No money from me means no Harvard. And I promise you, Victoria, if you defy me on this, you won't get a single cent." "Not for Harvard, not for any college, not for anything. You're bluffing. Try me." We stared at each other across his mahogany desk, and I realized he wasn't bluffing. He was willing to destroy my future to protect Emma's feelings. He was willing to throw away everything I had worked for because my sister couldn't handle being less than me. "I'll get loans," I said. "I'll work. I'll find a way. With what credit? You're 17. No bank will give you enough to cover Harvard without a cosigner, and I'll make sure no one in this family cosigns for you." He sat back down, the discussion over in his mind. "This is happening, Victoria. Accept it with grace, or make it ugly. Your choice." I made it ugly. I called Harvard myself, explained the situation, begged them to help me find alternative financing. They were sympathetic but clear. Without parental support or a cosigner, there was no way to cover the $70,000 annual cost. I was 17, legally still a minor, with no credit history and no collateral. I was trapped. For 3 days, I barely spoke to my parents. I stayed in my room, researching every possible option: scholarships, grants, work-study programs, anything that might let me escape. But every path led back to the same wall. I needed them, and they knew it. On the 4th day, I came downstairs and told them I would defer. I would help Emma. I would sacrifice my dream for hers. My mother hugged me and said I was doing the right thing. My father nodded approvingly and said I was finally showing maturity. Emma said nothing. She just looked at me with those wide, grateful eyes that had always gotten her everything she wanted. I should have known it wouldn't end there. I should have known that agreeing wasn't enough. 2 weeks later, I came home from my part-time job at the library to find black garbage bags on the front porch. My clothes, my books, my laptop, my childhood, everything I owned, stuffed into trash bags like I was something to be thrown away. My key didn't work. They had changed the locks. What happens next will make you question everything you think you know about family, forgiveness, and revenge. I stood on that porch for 20 minutes, staring at those garbage bags, trying to understand what was happening. I had agreed to their demands. I had given up Harvard. I had promised to help Emma. What more did they want from me? The front door opened, and my mother stepped out. Not all the way, just enough to block the entrance, like I was a stranger she didn't want to let inside. "Mom, what's going on? Why is my stuff out here?" Her face was cold, harder than I'd ever seen it. "Your father and I have been talking. We've decided that your attitude over the past few weeks has been toxic for Emma. She's been having panic attacks because of the tension you've created in this house." "Tension I created?" "I agreed to give up Harvard." "Yes, but the way you've been acting since then, the silent treatment, the hostile energy, the constant reminder that you're sacrificing something. Emma can feel it, Victoria. She's sensitive, and you're making her feel guilty for something that isn't her fault." I felt like I was losing my mind. "So you're kicking me out? I'm 17 years old. You'll be 18 in 3 weeks. Legally, we have no obligation to house you after that. We're just moving the timeline up a bit." She said it so matter-of-factly, like she was discussing a change in dinner plans. "We think it's best if you learn to be independent. You're always talking about how capable you are, how hard you work. Well, now you can prove it. Where am I supposed to go? That's not our problem anymore. You made your choices, Victoria. You chose to make this family miserable instead of accepting our decision with grace. Actions have consequences." Behind her, I could see Emma standing in the hallway watching. She wasn't crying. She wasn't protesting. She was just watching, like this was a movie and not her sister being thrown out of her home. "Emma," I called out, my voice breaking. "Are you really going to let them do this?" She looked away. That was her answer. My mother started to close the door, but I put my hand out to stop it. "Wait, just tell me one thing. Did you ever love me? Or was I always just the strong one who didn't need love because Emma needed it more?" For just a second, something flickered in my mother's eyes. Regret? Guilt? I'll never know, because she blinked it away and said, "Love isn't about feelings, Victoria. It's about doing what's best for your family. You'll understand that someday." Then she closed the door in my face. I loaded those garbage bags into my car, a 10-year-old Toyota I had bought with my own money, and drove to the only place I could think of, the library where I worked. I parked in the back lot and sat there until my shift started, trying to figure out what to do next. Mrs. Chen, the head librarian, found me in the bathroom 2 hours into my shift, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. She was 60 years old, had never married, had no children of her own. But she took one look at me and said, "Get your things. You're coming home with me." She let me stay in her guest room. She didn't ask questions, didn't demand explanations. She just gave me a safe place to fall apart and then helped me figure out how to put myself back together. The first thing we did was call Harvard and explain the situation. They were sympathetic but firm. Without parental financial support and without time to arrange alternative funding, I couldn't attend in the fall. My acceptance would have to be declined. I cried for 3 days straight. Then I stopped crying and started planning. Mrs. Chen helped me apply for legal emancipation. At 17, it was complicated, but the fact that my parents had physically removed me from their home and refused to provide support made the case stronger. It took 6 weeks, but the judge granted it. I was legally an adult at 17 years and 2 months old, free from my parents, free to make my own choices, free to sign my own loan documents. But Harvard was gone. That ship had sailed. Mrs. Chen suggested something else. "There are other excellent schools, Victoria. Schools that accept applications for spring admission. Schools that might even offer you scholarships based on your story." She was right. Within 2 months, I had been accepted to a prestigious university with a January start date and a partial scholarship. It wasn't Harvard, but it was mine, earned by me, chosen by me, paid for by me through a combination of loans, grants, and 3 part-time jobs. I left town without telling my parents where I was going. I changed my phone number. I wanted them to wonder if I was okay, to worry about what had happened to the daughter they had thrown away. I wanted them to feel a fraction of what they had made me feel. College was brutal. I worked 40 hours a week on top of a full course load. I slept 4 hours a night and lived on ramen and spite. But I graduated summa cum laude in 3 years, got into medical school on my first try, and specialized in cardiovascular surgery because it was the hardest, most demanding, most prestigious field I could find. I wanted to be undeniable. I wanted to be so successful that they would hear about me and realize what they had thrown away. 15 years passed. I became Dr. Victoria Morrison, one of the youngest attending cardiovascular surgeons at a major research hospital. I published papers, won awards, pioneered new surgical techniques. I built a life so far removed from those garbage bags that sometimes I could almost forget they existed. Almost. Then my phone rang with a number I hadn't seen in 15 years, and everything I had built was about to be tested. I stared at my mother's name on my phone screen for 3 rings before I answered. Part of me wanted to let it go to voicemail, to maintain the wall of silence I had built between us. But curiosity, or maybe something darker, made me pick up. Victoria. Her voice was older, shakier, stripped of the authority it had once carried. I know it's been a long time, but we need to talk about your father. Not how are you, not we've missed you, not we're sorry for destroying your life, just straight to what they needed. Some things never change. He's sick, she continued, filling my silence with words that tumbled out too fast. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It's metastasized to his liver and lungs. The doctors here say there's nothing they can do, but we've been researching experimental treatments, and there's a surgeon at your hospital who specializes in complex oncological cases. Dr. Victoria Morrison. That's you, isn't it? The irony was so perfect it almost made me laugh. Almost. We saw your picture on the hospital website, my mother went on. We've been following your career. We're so proud of what you've accomplished. Stop. The word came out harder than I intended. Don't do that. Don't pretend you've been cheering me on from the sidelines. You threw me away, remember? You chose Emma over me, and then you threw me out like garbage when I wasn't grateful enough for being sacrificed. Victoria, please, I know you're angry, but your father is dying. How long does he have? 3 to 6 months without treatment. Maybe a year with standard chemotherapy. But we've read about your surgical technique, the one you developed for cases like his. It could give him 5 years, maybe more. You're his only chance, his only chance. The man who had once told me I was replaceable, disposable, less important than my sister's feelings, he needed me now. The daughter he had thrown away was his only hope for survival. The surgery costs $450,000, I said, my voice clinical and detached. Insurance doesn't cover it because it's considered experimental. Do you have $450,000? The silence on her end told me everything I needed to know. I see, I continued. So you're calling me because you think I'll do it for free? Because we're family. You're a doctor, Victoria. You took an oath to save lives. You can't just let him die because of what happened between us. What happened between us? I repeated, and I could hear my voice rising despite my best efforts to stay calm. You make it sound like we had an argument about curfew. You destroyed my life. You took away my future to protect Emma's ego, and then you threw me out when I wasn't sufficiently grateful for being sacrificed. That's not what happened between us. That's what you did to me. We were trying to do what was best for both of you. No, you were doing what was easiest for Emma. You were protecting the weak child at the expense of the strong one because you couldn't handle her tears. And now that child is 30 years old, and where is she? Why isn't she the one helping you with medical bills? Another silence, longer this time. Emma is going through a difficult period right now, my mother said carefully. She's between jobs, and she's been dealing with some anxiety issues between jobs. Still, I let that sink in. So the daughter you destroyed my life for, the one who needed it more, is unemployed and living in your house while I'm a cardiovascular surgeon at one of the best hospitals in the country. Tell me, was it worth it? Was protecting her feelings worth losing me? We didn't lose you. You're right here, talking to me. No. You lost me 15 years ago when you put those garbage bags on the porch. This person you're talking to now, she's someone I built from the wreckage of the daughter you threw away. And she doesn't owe you anything. Victoria, please, my mother's voice cracked, and I could hear her crying now. I know we failed you. I know we made terrible choices, but your father is dying, and whatever he did, he doesn't deserve this. He's your father. He stopped being my father when he chose Emma over me, then do it for Emma. She can't lose him like this. She's not strong enough, and whose fault is that? I snapped. You spent her entire life protecting her from every disappointment, every consequence, every moment of discomfort. You sacrificed me to keep her comfortable, and now she's a 30-year-old child who can't handle basic adult responsibilities. You created her, and you destroyed me to do it. So no, I won't do it for Emma. I won't do anything for Emma. What do you want from us? My mother asked, and there was desperation in her voice now. Tell me what you want, and I'll do it. Do you want us to apologize? To admit we were wrong? To beg? I'll beg, Victoria. I'll get on my knees if that's what it takes. What did I want? That was the question, wasn't it? What could possibly balance the scales after 15 years? I want you to ask Emma to do it, I said finally. I want you to tell your golden child that her father needs her, and I want to hear what excuse she gives for why she can't help. I want you to feel what it's like when the child you sacrificed everything for can't save you. She can't do what you can do exactly. She can't, because while I was working 3 jobs and sleeping 4 hours a night to become a surgeon, she was finding herself on your dime. So tell her to find a way to save him. Tell her to be the strong one for once. I hung up before my mother could respond. My hands were shaking. After 15 years of silence, hearing her voice had ripped open wounds I thought had scarred over. But I wasn't done yet, not even close, because 3 days later, someone else called. Someone I hadn't heard from in even longer. Emma. I almost didn't answer Emma's call. Seeing her name on my screen after 15 years of silence triggered something visceral in me, a mix of rage and pain and curiosity I couldn't quite untangle. But I answered because I needed to hear what she would say. I needed to know if she had any idea what she had cost me. Victoria, her voice was soft, tentative, like she was afraid I might explode. I know you probably don't want to talk to me. I know you hate me, but I need to explain something about Dad. Let me guess, I interrupted. Mom told you to call me. She thought maybe sister to sister, I'd be more sympathetic. Am I close? No, I mean, yes, she suggested it, but I wanted to call. I've wanted to call for years actually. I just didn't know what to say. How about I'm sorry for standing there and watching while our parents destroyed your life? That would be a good start. I heard her breath catch, and then she was crying. Of course she was crying. Emma always cried when things got difficult. It was her superpower, the tears that made everyone rush to fix whatever was hurting her. I was 18, Victoria. I didn't know what to do. I didn't understand what was really happening. You understood perfectly. You understood that they were choosing you over me, and you let them because it benefited you. Don't pretend you were some innocent bystander. You're right, she said, and her agreement caught me off guard. You're absolutely right. I was selfish. I was scared of not being good enough, and when they offered to sacrifice you to make me feel better, I took it. I took everything they stole from you, and I did nothing with it. I wasted it all. This wasn't what I expected. Emma never admitted fault, never acknowledged her role in anything. She was always the victim, always the one who needed protection from harsh realities. What do you want, Emma? I want to tell you the truth about something. About why they really threw you out. I felt my chest tighten. I know why they threw me out. Because I wasn't grateful enough for being sacrificed. No. That's what they told you, but it's not the whole truth. She took a shaky breath. I told them to do it. The world seemed to stop. What? After you agreed to defer Harvard, I couldn't sleep. Every time I looked at you, I saw this resentment, this anger. You were right to be angry, but I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle knowing that you hated me, that every day you stayed in that house was a reminder of what I had taken from you. So I told Mom and Dad that I couldn't live with the tension. I told them it was making my anxiety worse, that I was having panic attacks. I told them that if you stayed, I didn't know what I might do to myself. I couldn't breathe. You threatened to hurt yourself to get them to throw me out? I didn't mean it. I was just scared and selfish and stupid. But they believed me, and they chose to protect me. Again, like they always did, her voice broke completely. I'm so sorry, Victoria. I've been sorry for 15 years, but I was too much of a coward to tell you. I let you think it was all them when it was me. It was always me. I should have felt vindicated. I should have felt justified in every ounce of hatred I'd carried for her. But instead, I just felt tired. Tired of the anger, tired of the pain, tired of carrying this weight. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because Dad is dying, and I can't save him. I can't do anything to help him. I'm 30 years old, and I'm useless. Everything they sacrificed you for, everything they gave me, I wasted it all. And now the only person who can save him is the person I destroyed. She was sobbing now, barely coherent. I don't deserve your help. I know that, but he does. Whatever he did, he doesn't deserve to die because of my mistakes. He made his own choices, Emma. He chose to believe your manipulation. He chose to throw me out. He chose you over me every single day of my life. Those weren't your mistakes, they were his. Please, Victoria, I'm begging you, not for me, for him, for Mom. They're falling apart, and I can't fix it. I've never been able to fix anything. That's not my problem, I know. I know it's not. But please, just think about it. Just consider it. I'll do anything you want. I'll pay you back somehow. I'll work. You'll what, Emma? Get a job and keep it for more than 3 months. Suddenly develop a work ethic? Take responsibility for something? The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. You can't give me what I want because what I want is the 15 years you stole from me. I want the relationship with my parents that you destroyed. I want the sister who should have stood up for me instead of manipulating them into throwing me away. I can't give you that, she whispered. I can't undo what I did. No, you can't. So why should I undo the consequences? She didn't have an answer for that. Neither did I, really. After I hung up, I sat in my office for an hour, staring at my father's medical file on my computer screen. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer with metastasis. Without my surgery, he had months. With it, he could have years. I had the power to save him or let him die. The choice was mine. The daughter they had thrown away now held their lives in her hands. The question was, what kind of person had I become? The kind who would let a man die out of spite, or the kind who would save him despite everything? I didn't know the answer, but I knew I had to decide soon, because my phone was ringing again, and this time, it was my father calling. I let my father's call go to voicemail. Then I listened to it 3 times, analyzing every word, every pause, every inflection like it was evidence in a trial. Victoria, it's your father. His voice was weak, ravaged by cancer and chemotherapy. I know I have no right to ask you for anything. I know what I did to you was unforgivable, but I'm asking anyway, not because I deserve your help, but because I'm a coward who's afraid to die. He paused, and I could hear him struggling to breathe. Your mother thinks I should apologize, try to make things right before I ask for the surgery, but I think that's manipulative. I think apologizing now, when I need something from you, makes the apology worthless. So I'm not going to apologize. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I was a terrible father to you. I chose Emma over you because her weakness made me feel needed and your strength made me feel unnecessary. I threw you away because keeping you meant confronting my own failures as a parent. And now I'm dying because of choices I made, just like you're successful because of choices you made despite me, not because of me. Another long pause. I don't expect you to save me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see you now. I see what you became, and I understand what it cost you. And I'm sorry I wasn't there to help you pay that cost. Goodbye, Victoria. The voicemail ended. He hadn't asked me to call back, hadn't begged for the surgery, hadn't tried to manipulate me with guilt or obligation. He had just told me the truth and said goodbye. It was the most honest thing he had ever said to me. I sat with that voicemail for 2 days, listening to it over and over, trying to decide what kind of person I wanted to be. The surgeon who saved lives regardless of personal history, or the daughter who let her father die as payment for being thrown away. On the 3rd day, I called my hospital's financial office and asked them to send my father a contract for the surgery. But I added my own terms. The surgery would cost $450,000. They would pay me back over 15 years, 1 year for every year of silence at 6% interest. Monthly payments of $3,217. If they missed a single payment, I would take legal action to seize assets until the debt was paid in full. Emma would contribute $500 per month, regardless of her employment status. If she couldn't afford it, she would get a job and keep it. If she quit, the full amount would be added to my parents' debt. And one final term, they would never contact me again except regarding the surgery and the payments. No birthday calls, no holiday cards, no attempts at reconciliation. They wanted me to be their surgeon, not their daughter. Fine, I would be their surgeon, and they would be my patients and debtors. Nothing more. I sent the contract and waited. They signed it within 6 hours. The surgery was scheduled for 3 weeks later. I spent those weeks preparing, reviewing every detail, every possible complication. This would be one of the most complex procedures I had ever performed, made more complicated by the fact that the patient was the man who had once told me I wasn't worth investing in. The night before the surgery, I received an email from Emma. No subject line, just a message. Thank you for giving him a chance. I know you're doing this despite us, not because of us. I know we don't deserve your skill or your mercy, but thank you anyway. I'll make my payments, I promise. It's the least I can do after taking everything else. I didn't respond. The surgery took 16 hours. It was brutal, exhausting, pushing the limits of what was medically possible. I removed tumors from his pancreas, liver, and lungs. I reconstructed damaged tissue, rerouted blood vessels, performed procedures I had pioneered myself. My hands didn't shake. They never do. But my mind went to places it shouldn't during surgery, to garbage bags, to closed doors, to 15 years of silence. I thought about how easy it would be to make a mistake, to let a bleeder go unnoticed, to close him up with something left undone. I thought about it. And then I saved his life anyway. Because I'm not them. I'm not the person who destroys someone to make myself feel better. I'm not the parent who sacrifices one child for another. I'm not the person who throws away someone who loves them. I'm the person they created when they threw me away, someone strong enough to save a life even when that life belongs to someone who tried to destroy mine. He survived the surgery. The prognosis was good, potentially 5 to 7 years of life, maybe more. It was a medical triumph, a testament to skill and technology and the human body's resilience. It felt like nothing. When I told my mother the surgery was successful, she tried to hug me. I stepped back, maintained the professional distance I had cultivated for exactly this moment. He'll need to stay in ICU for a week, then another 3 weeks in recovery. After that, he'll need full-time care for at least 6 months. I'm sending you a list of qualified home health aides and their costs. Your first payment is due in 30 days. Victoria, please, can we just talk? No, read the contract. No contact except regarding medical care and payments. Those were the terms you agreed to. I walked away before she could respond. My father woke up 2 days later. I checked on him as his surgeon, not as his daughter. I reviewed his vitals, adjusted his medications, explained his recovery timeline. He watched me with eyes that held something I couldn't quite identify. Regret? Respect? Resignation? You saved my life, he said, his voice hoarse from the breathing tube. I performed a surgery, I corrected. You paid for a medical service, and I provided it. That's the extent of our relationship. Victoria, read the contract, Dad. No personal contact. You wanted me to be your surgeon, not your daughter. You got what you wanted. I left before he could say anything else. That was 3 years ago. The payments arrive every month, always on time. Emma has kept her job, a receptionist position at a medical office, ironically, and her $500 arrives with clockwork regularity. My father is alive, diminished but alive, buying time with money he once refused to spend on my education. And me? I'm exactly what they made me. 3 years of monthly payments. 3 years of watching my bank account grow with money extracted from the people who once threw me away. 3 years of my father's life purchased with the same calculation he used when he decided I was worth less than Emma's feelings. I should feel victorious. I should feel vindicated. I saved his life and made him pay for it, literally and figuratively. I turned their transactional love into an actual transaction, complete with interest and payment schedules. Instead, I feel hollow. The payments arrive like clockwork. $3,217 from my parents on the 1st of every month, $500 from Emma on the 15th. I've set up a separate account just for their money, watching it accumulate like evidence of something I can't quite name. Justice? Revenge? Restitution? I don't touch the money. I don't need my salary as an attending surgeon is substantial, my investments sound. The money just sits there, growing, a numerical representation of everything they took from me and everything I took back. My father's recovery was slower than expected. The surgery was successful, but at 65, his body struggled to heal. He spent 8 months in and out of hospitals, dealing with infections and complications. I monitored his care from a professional distance, adjusting treatment plans and consulting with his primary physicians, but I never visited him as a daughter, never held his hand, never told him it would be okay. My mother tried to break the contract 6 times in the first year. Phone calls from unknown numbers, emails from new addresses, even a letter delivered to my office by courier. Each time, I reminded her of the terms. No personal contact. Each time, she violated them anyway, trying to tell me about Emma's new job, about my father's progress, about how much they miss me. I reported each violation to my lawyer. After the 6th one, he sent them a formal cease and desist letter. The attempt stopped. Emma kept her job. That was the biggest surprise. For 2 years, she showed up every day to a job she probably hated, answering phones and filing paperwork at a pediatric clinic. Her $500 arrived every month, sometimes with a short note that I never read before deleting. Then, 6 months ago, something changed. I received an email from my mother from my father's account, technically, so not a violation of the contract. The subject line was medical update, but the content was something else entirely. Victoria, I'm writing from your father's email because I know you'll read medical updates. I need to tell you something about Emma. 3 months ago, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 2, aggressive. She needs surgery and chemotherapy. She's terrified. She asked me not to tell you because she doesn't want you to think she's trying to manipulate you into forgiving us. But I thought you should know. Not because we expect anything from you, but because she's your sister, and despite everything, I think you still love her. Even if you hate us, even if you never forgive us, I think you love her. Your father is doing well, by the way. His latest scans are clear. The 5 years you gave him might turn into 10. Thank you for that, even though I'm not supposed to thank you. Mom, I read that email 20 times. Emma had cancer. Emma, who had manipulated our parents into throwing me out, who had stood by while they destroyed my life, who had taken everything they stole from me and wasted it. Emma was sick. I felt nothing. Then I felt everything. Then I felt nothing again. 2 weeks later, Emma's $500 payment didn't arrive. It was the first time in 3 years she had missed it. I stared at my bank account, waiting for that deposit, and realized something. I had become exactly what they were. I was extracting payment from a sick woman the same way they had extracted my future to protect her feelings. That night, I did something I hadn't done in 3 years. I looked at Emma's social media. Her accounts were private, but I created a fake profile and sent a follow request. She accepted within minutes. She always was trusting to a fault. Her posts were sparse, mostly reposts of inspirational quotes about fighting cancer and staying positive. But there was one photo from 2 weeks ago, Emma in a hospital bed, bald from chemotherapy, smiling weakly at the camera. The caption read, "Round 4 done. 6 more to go. I'm stronger than I thought I was. Turns out I had it in me all along. I just needed a reason to find it." I stared at that photo for an hour. Emma, the weak sister, the fragile one who needed protection from every disappointment. She was fighting cancer with more grace than she had ever fought anything in her life. And I was waiting for her $500 payment while she did it. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark, trying to understand who I had become. The girl on those porch steps with garbage bags had deserved better than what they did to her. But did she deserve to become this? Someone who collected debts from dying family members? Someone who turned pain into profit? The next morning, I sent an email to my lawyer. Suspend all collection efforts indefinitely. Forgive the remaining debt. Close the account. I'm done. He called me within an hour, confused. Are you sure? They still owe you over $300,000, I'm sure. Send them a letter stating that the debt is forgiven, effective immediately. No strings attached. No contact required. Just done. May I ask why? I didn't have a good answer. Maybe it was seeing Emma finally being strong. Maybe it was realizing that making them pay forever meant I was also trapped forever, chained to them by spreadsheets and payment schedules. Maybe it was understanding that the girl on the porch deserved better than to become someone who extracted payment from a sister with cancer. Or maybe I just realized that you can't be free of people you're still collecting from. Because I'm not them, I said finally. And I refused to become them. The letter went out that afternoon. Cold, clinical, final. Dr. Morrison has elected to forgive the remaining balance of your debt, effective immediately. No further payments are required or accepted. This concludes all financial and legal obligations between the parties. My mother called 63 times in 4 days. I didn't answer. My father sent emails I didn't read. Emma sent a letter to my office that my assistant returned unopened. I didn't want their gratitude. I didn't want their tears or their relief or their attempts at reconciliation. Forgiving the debt wasn't about them, it was about me. It was about choosing who I wanted to be. 3 weeks later, a check arrived. $3,217. The next month's payment, even though I had forgiven the debt. I returned it, uncashed. Another check arrived the following month. And another. And another. They kept paying. I kept returning the checks. It's been 6 months now. The checks still arrive like clockwork. I still send them back. We're locked in this strange dance, them trying to pay a debt I forgave, me refusing to accept payment for a choice I made. Maybe they need to pay to feel less guilty. Maybe I need to refuse to feel less like them. Maybe we're all just trying to find a way to live with what we did to each other. Last week, I heard through a colleague that Emma's in remission. The cancer responded well to treatment. She's going to survive. I felt relief. Genuine, uncomplicated relief. Maybe that means something. Maybe it means nothing. My father is alive, buying years with money I no longer want. Emma is surviving cancer, finally learning what strength actually costs. My mother is watching both her daughters suffer in different ways, finally understanding that protecting one child by destroying another protects no one. And me? I'm still the daughter who was thrown away. But I'm also the one who chose to stop making them pay for it, not because they deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved freedom. The checks still come. I still send them back. And somewhere in that space between their guilt and my refusal, I found something unexpected. The realization that the most powerful thing I could do wasn't making them pay forever. It was choosing to stop. They taught me that love was conditional, that family was transactional, that everything has a price. I learned the lesson so well that I turned their love into an actual transaction. But then I learned something they never taught me, that the only way to be free of people who hurt you is to stop letting them define who you become. I'm still successful, still untouchable, but maybe finally, not quite so alone. Because the girl on the porch with garbage bags? She didn't survive everything just to become another person who destroys families. She survived to become someone better than that. The payments continue arriving. I continue returning them. And in that quiet refusal, there's something like peace, not forgiveness, not reconciliation, just the choice to be free.